Radical.
Advance Auto Parts is closing over 700 locations. 700 locations, 500 corporate stores, 200 independently owned stores. And that's out of only 5,000 that exist. That's a significant chunk of closed locations. Now they say, quote, it's a strategic plan to improve business performance, but it could just be that they're getting outdone by stiff competition. Not only AutoZone, O'Reilly's, Napa, all these other parts dealers that for some reason, I don't know how it is in all of your towns, but it seems like there's a circle jerk. All the parts places are within feet of each other. I don't understand that. Tell me business-wise. I don't understand why it's good business sense to put them all beside of each other. You'd think you want to kind of spread them out a little bit, right? There were a lot. There were a lot of Advance Auto Parts stores. And maybe it's just to kind of, maximize. Maybe there's 2 or 3 in a town and they figure, well, we don't need this many here. But I think it's sales, man. There's been many times it might be 7 or 8 o'clock, hours before they close. And I drive by, it's like a freaking ghost town, man. There's nobody there. I don't know. It's not the same at AutoZone. Seems like there's usually more people at AutoZone. Sometimes just because of that reason, if I'm in a rush, then let's say I'm on lunch at work and I need something for the car. I need like a little light bulb real quick. I go to Advance. But there's stiff competition, not just, like I said, from O'Reilly's, AutoZone, all the other chains, but there's stiff competition actually from online. Rock Auto, Amazon, hell, even eBay, Motors, you can get parts on eBay. Now, some people don't like getting things online because they make the argument, well, I want to get an authentic part. I want to go to Advance Auto Parts and get me an authentic part. Well, hell, when it comes to authentic, I think at Rock Auto, you can get OEM parts on Rock Auto. Speaking of Rock Auto, I got a couple things to go in here. I might go into some ranting also, so brace yourself for that. There's a comment down here from actually an employee of an Advance. He says, no one will ever read my thoughts, but as a 5-year employee, I know more than most will ever about this company. I'm well below my promised starting pay after 5 years of loyal service, and they are the lowest paying job in town. I've watched over 50 employees turn over in that time in just one store, and I'm still waiting for the pay I was promised the day I was hired. They're cheap and refuse to acknowledge the importance of paying people well. The McDonald's down the street pays $5 an hour more to flip burgers. We actually talk to people and know things about cars. But we are ridiculously overpriced. Ever since they hired our current CEO, price increases are constant. Advanced price increases, right? Weekly, new rolls of price increases print out and go on the shelves. If a customer is not buying at $5, why would they pay $6? It's hilarious, really. We have priced ourselves out of the market. I personally love the company and stores, but I buy all my parts from Rock Auto because they beat our prices by nearly half or better every time. Even with our paltry employee discount, they completely outprice us every time. I recently bought a radiator for $86 from Rock Auto for my personal vehicle that was $227 from Advance, and that's with my employee discount. How does anyone afford to shop here? It's a fun job and an easy job, but by no means a good job. I've been offered general manager repeatedly, turn it down every time because 10 times the stress for 75 cents an hour raise. Come on, only a fool would do that shit. I know a lot of you feel that way when you get offered a promotion at work, but it's only 75 cents more for 10 times the stress. Sometimes you got to look at it and be like, okay, well, how much money and how much more stress, right? Because stress is a factor. Unless you're getting a giant raise, then, no, just stay at the level you're at right there. But I was shocked, not really shocked, when he quoted $227 for just a fucking radiator. Just a radiator, not a complex part. A damn radiator. But yeah, that's realistic now. That's unrealistic, but that's the sad realism. For instance, in an Advance part place, and this is a little story I'll share. Not much of a story, but still kind of irked me the wrong way. I sometimes am a person that is known for going into these parts places and I'll order the part before I take my car in to get worked on, because my car is a daily driver. My 2010 Chevy Impala, it's a daily driver. So there's going to be a delay if I drop a car off and they find something wrong with it. And usually, more often than not, I've dealt with cars a lot. I've dealt with car problems, and I usually have a general idea of what's going on. So I might buy 2 or 3 parts, pre-buy them, and go there, drop it off, and say, it's one of those 3 things. I know it's one of those 3 things. Just replace what I need to, and the other parts I don't use, I'll take back with no problem, with no issue. I've never had any issue taking back a part that was not used within a couple days. But I was thinking I was having electrical issues. So I go ahead and I get a alternator, and there was something else I got. I think it might have been I already had spark plugs, alternator, and ignition coil, because I was going to do a full replacement of the ignition coil, spark plug wires and things. I'm heavy on the maintenance also. Sometimes I'm like, has this ever been replaced? Okay, I'll go ahead and replace it. Now, the ignition coil, I got it in O'Reilly's. Took it back with no problem whatsoever. It actually turned out to be something different. It was transmission sensor related, which sucks. Fucking sucks. Because if you know anything about transmission, that's dollar signs. That's even more intensive than fucking engine work. And it's hard to find people that specialize in working on transmissions. But I took back to Advance Auto this part, this alternator, which was, believe it or not, can you brace yourself, please? Have any of you replaced an alternator recently? Almost $300 fucking dollars. I remember I used to get alternators for like next to nothing, under $100, not that long ago. But they've shot up almost $300 for a fucking alternator. That's all it is. It's an alternator. What the hell's? I was like shocked. I was thinking, the hell? Is it another part you're adding in there, or just the alternator? So I take it back, and then the manager there tries to explain to me, well, we're not really supposed to take these back because it's an electronic part. Meanwhile, the person I asked specifically, I always ask wherever I buy something, there was this old dumbass that was working at night there, and I make sure to ask, like, hey, if I don't need this, I have my receipt. I can take it back, right? And he said yes. So if the manager tried to give me any crap, I would basically say, like, okay, I was told I'm not leaving here until I get my return on this. This is, I mean, you could tell it hasn't been installed by opening up and looking at it. You know, so something he tried to explain about the policy and how some people bring back alternators that are not good, or I just don't fucking know. All I know is he saw that I was a long-time buyer of things there. He saw my history. So I've given them a whole lot of business throughout the years. And 2 days earlier, this one dumbass doesn't even know how to, he's checking my charging system, but it takes him forever to even get it lined up and to check my charging system. So anyways, but yeah, he even admitted that he's not that smart anyways. And I'm like, okay, so you employ people that aren't that smart. Great, wonderful, fantastic. Anyways, he does give me the return on the alternator. But it makes me think for a second, like, why do I even want to come back and give this place my business? I mean, I would potentially be stuck with an almost $300 alternator that really, I knew I could probably get cheaper online, but I got it just out of convenience. I'm thinking like, well, shit, I got a busy week. I got a certain work schedule. I'll go ahead and get the part. So I guess they're staying in business because, number one, people want to go ahead and get the part and not worry about the hassle to get things online. Or, you know, they have a lot of work from people, actually just shops going to them directly to get the part also, which is a big part of their business. But come to think of it, they didn't even have the alternator in stock. For a 2010 Chevy Impala, one of the most plain Jane common vehicles. I mean, I like the vehicle, don't get me wrong. You know, it's a nice, comfortable vehicle to drive, very smooth driving, you know, can't really complain much about it. It's got a lot of great, I mean, I wouldn't be driving it still if I didn't like a lot about it, But there's nothing spectacular or unique about a 2010 Chevy Impala. It's not. It's like, like a Charger, like a Taurus or something. It's a very common sedan. It's a very common sports sedan. But why the hell don't they have an alternator in stock for that vehicle? I mean, you say 2010, Rick, that's a 14-year-old car. But no, that's not really that old of a car. It's a common car, not that old. I mean, that's around the time where that's mostly their parts should be replaced, around 2010 and 2015. I'm thinking probably that's most vehicles. It's not like it's a 1983 Mercedes or something like that. No, it's a very common Chevy car. How the hell do they not have that already in stock? I don't get that. Also, there's a big problem when it comes to, I guess, my luck. And in O'Reilly's, I got 3 sensors, and one of them was actually a brake sensor. Had fucking nothing to do with it. So I think to myself, okay, I had to delay anyways because they had to go and get another sensor too. Then I have to take this back. A big argument for not buying things online is, oh, you might get the wrong part. Ooh, you might get the wrong part. Well, if I'm going to be paying only 50 to 60% or less of the amount, let me look at that figure again. This worker said he paid $86 for a radiator that was $227. That's way under 50%. We talking like under 40% here for the same part. And if you got to wait a day or 2 or 3, hell, you're probably going to wait for that same part unless you have a specific vehicle or maybe something, I guess, within 5 years old. And I don't understand these parts places. Yeah, you might go in there for a light, a bulb, or a battery or something. But I'm looking at all their shelves thinking, okay, they should probably stock these with the most common vehicles. The most common plain Jane type vehicles like one that I have. Now, it's hard for me to get parts for, I have a 94 Nissan. I understand getting parts for that's kind of hard, and usually I just buy online anyways. But the competition back to, I'll finish off here talking about this. The competition, I believe, is the main reason Advance Auto is closing stores because they just can't compete. So when it comes to stuff like this, not just the prices. Oh, okay. One thing I'll throw in here also is when it comes to the quality of a lot of the parts at Advance. A lot of you listening might think, well, I'm just going to go get me a new part at Advance. A new part for the vehicle. A lot of these parts are remanufactured. A lot of these parts are not authentic. They're not OEM. Oh, you can get OEM parts there. I think a alternator OEM for my 2010 Chevy Impala is almost $500. I'm going to go to the fucking junkyard before that. You know, if I go to a junkyard and they only want $50 for a used alternator, chances are it still works fine. Unless this person, if I see like a lot of wires lined up for a car audio system or something like that, probably works fine. But I think you're better off actually just getting a used OEM part than a brand new, quotation, brand new remanufactured part. Because it might be a lot of the same junk that you can get on eBay. Maybe just slightly better. I particularly heard that the CarQuest stuff was just crap. Because it might have their name brand on it or CarQuest or sound some, fancy. But that's another problem, is the quality of the parts. I'm reading several of the comments here talking about Advance, how they went through 3 or 4 alternators that, quote, had the lifetime warranty within a small amount of time. One was dead right out of the box. So I guess that's why they put their lifetime warranty on there, right? But the thing is, if you go ahead and you go and have it installed on a vehicle, then Advance Auto is not going to pay you for all that money you paid to have it put on. So your lifetime warranty, hell, you might have hundreds or thousands of dollars on these cheap parts that are not cheap, that you're paying $200, $300, $400 fucking dollars for, and they're not even OEM. So, yeah, will it continue? Will they close more stores? Yeah, you cannot honestly think that that business model is going to work when you have the competition like Rock Auto, like Amazon, like eBay. I'm going to say it one more time. You cannot expect people, unless they're in a pinch or just need to part right there that day, you cannot expect people to pay you more than twice the money or have an option of just waiting 2 or 3 days to get the part online.